Right, so now let's talk about the flea. Okay, so if we talk about the flea, guys, here it is also called as Xenopsylla Cheopis, and if you guys remember, right, when I was talking about the communicable disease, there also I have discussed about the plague. If you guys remember, in the plague, guys, I have told you about the flea, right, rat flea, and there I told you it is also called as the Xenopsylla Cheopis, right? So Xenopsylla over here, that is the genus basically. If we talk about Xenopsylla is the genus, right? So it is also called as Xenopsylla is genus over here. So Xenopsylla Cheopis is nothing but the flea, right? It is a wingless ectoparasite, guys. It is not having the wings, right? Let's talk about its morphology over here itself. If you will see the, right, let's talk about the morphology. If you will look at the flea over here, right, in front of you, this is the flea, right? This is the flea, Xenopsylla Cheopis. What you can see over here, I can see that it is having a conical head, isn't it? It is having a conical head, right? There are no wings, so wings are absent, right? I can see 3 pair of legs, so one this side, one another side, so 3 pair of legs over here. So 3 pair of legs are present, right? Conical head is there, wings are there, and the 3 pair of legs are present over there. With that, it is having thorax. You can see it is not having the neck, but after the head there is a thorax present over there, right? And thorax is containing usually 3 segments, right? And then there is a big abdomen, as you can see over here, and abdomen is containing around 10 segments, right? So in the abdomen, 10 segments, in the thorax there are approximately 3 segments, right? So what I can write in the morphology part is that as far as morphology is concerned, it is having the conical head, right? There is absence of neck, there is absence of wings, right? 3 pairs of legs are present. 3 pairs of legs are present. They are attached to, which are attached to its thorax. How many segments I told you in the thorax, guys? I told you around 3 segments, right? And it is also attached to the abdomen, right? Some of the part, and they are having almost around 10 segments, right? So this is about the morphology of the flea over here, right? Now, guys, if you talk about the life cycle of the flea, right, there are 4 stages, right? So now let's talk about the life cycle also, guys, right? Now let's talk about the life cycle of flea, right? If we talk about the life cycle of flea, as we can see in this particular diagram, this is the flea, this is the adult form. It will be laying the eggs, right? This will be the first stage. After laying the eggs, it will be actually laying the larvae. It will be converting itself into the larvae, right? After the larvae, there would be the pupa. It would be the 3rd stage, and then at last the adult will be formed. That will be the 4th stage. So there are how many stages in the life cycle, guys? There are 4 stages in the life cycle, named with the eggs, larva, pupa, which will be having the cocoon, and then at last there will be the formation of adult, right? If we talk about generally the flea, right, whenever they will be having the bite, they are painful bite, guys, right? They are the painful bite. There is a painful bite, there's a painful bite. And usually what happens, if you talk about the flea over here, usually fleas are not about to, if you talk about the flea, they are the red flea, very commonly which are found with the red flea. They are not very, they are not made up in a manner that they should be biting the human. Why they're biting the human? Why we are talking about the flea over here? Because we know that they're the cases which can be, because they can spread the plague. So what happens is that, the Xenopsylla Cheopis, which is the flea, right? If we talk about the red flea, okay, however, there are different types of fleas. If you talk about the red flea, guys, then what shall happen? Red flea, basically, they will be biting the rats, right? And as they will be biting the rats are capable of spreading the plague. So they will be getting the plague from that. They will be getting the Yersinia pestis. they will be getting the plague from them. So if the Xenopsylla Cheopis, if the rat flea will be biting so many bats over there, they will be getting the plague out of it, right? Then this particular Xenopsylla Cheopis or the flea over here, right? This flea will be very dangerous now, because this flea will be having so much of plague. Now it will understand that the flea should not be biting the rats, because they are getting the disease from it. So now what they will do, they will find the other methods for the feeding. For an example, they will be finding the methods. For example, they might bite other animals, they might bite the dogs, they might bite the fox, they might bite any other animal, and among that they might bite the humans as well, right? So due to that, the rat flea, which is Xenopsylla Cheopis, might transmit the plague from the rats to the humans, right? And that's why we are talking about it. So the flea over here is capable of transmitting the plague, right? Okay, so over here guys, if you talk about the flea over here, if it will be biting the human, then this will be the painful bite, right? Okay, can they fly? I told you there are no wings. So obviously if there are no wings, they cannot fly, right? So if they are not flying, then how they are moving from one place to another? Usually they are actually leaping up to 6 inches horizontally, right? They are leaping up to 6 inches horizontally. They are not flying actually, they are just leaping on the ground, leaping up to 6 inches horizontally. Okay, fine. Now they might transmit some of the diseases guys, right? If you know, they might transmit some of the diseases over here. Which kind of diseases we shall talk about, which we need to remember, and I will be saying that must remember, which you at least should remember, right? These are transmit diseases such as this is the endemic typhus guys. I told you epidemic typhus was spreading from the, yes, it was spreading from the louse or lice. Here I am talking about the endemic typhus, which is also called as the murine typhus, right? So please do remember, epidemic typhus is different, which is spreading by the louse or lice, but endemic typhus is spread by the flea. Okay, so please do remember that as well. They are also called as the chiggerosis. Actually they are actually spreading the what? Chiggerosis, right? They might be able to, spread the bubonic plague, right? The bubonic plague, right? And one more I am writing over here, Hymenolapis diminuta, right? Hymenolapis diminuta. Okay, so these are the diseases which you should remember, and at least very important one is the endemic typhus or the murine typhus and the chiggerosis, and obviously you will remember the plague obviously, but this is the bubonic plague. So please do remember about these particular diseases, right? How you can go for the prevention part. So insecticide, if you guys talk about over here, what are the insecticides? We shall be using the 10% of DDT, right? 10% of DDT insecticide might be spread into that area, right? And 10% DDT actually we can spread into the burrows or the holes of the rats, because they will be present over there to bite the rats, right? So over there we shall be spreading this particular 10% of DDT as far as insecticides are concerned, right? Then the next point over here is that what could be the repellents, right, for the prevention part, because we need to make sure that as a humans we should not be getting the bite from the flea, right? So what we shall do over here is, that we shall be finding a solution in the form of repellents. Repellents, like you might be using the mosquito net, or you might be using the the good night and the all out and all of these stuffs. They are actually carrying a special kind of solution. What kind of solution it is? It is the DEET or DET. Actually DEET is nothing but the diethyl toluene, right? So that's why the mosquitoes and the insect, they will not be for them this kind of smell which is coming out of this DEET, which is present in the good night and all of these things. They are not very pleasant for the insects. So that's why they will be not moving around over there. They will be just going away here and there, right? So that is the thing. That's why this thing is there. So repellents, if we talk about, it could be the DEET, which is the diethyl toluamide. Okay, diethyl toluamide. With that, you shall be using the benzyl benzoate also, guys, right? You might be using the benzyl benzoate. Okay. Now, just one more thing I would like to mention over here. I would like to highlight that if we talk about the rat flea, right? If you talk about the rat flea, right, I'm just writing over here. There are different kinds of fleas, guys. It could be the rat flea, there could be the human flea, right, and there could be the sand flea also. And over here, one disclaimer is that, sand fly is the different insect, sand flea is different. So please do not confuse between these two, sand fly and sand flea. Sand fly was phlebotomous, sand flea is different. This is the flea over here, right? So if we talk about the rat flea, guys, right, rat flea actually can be the Xenopsylla cheopis, as I have already mentioned about that. And Xenopsylla cheopis is capable of spreading which infection, guys? I told you that is the plague. So please do remember that it is responsible for spreading the plague. If we talk about the Xenopsylla, if we talk about the human flea, then it is called as basically the Pulex irritans, right? Pulex irritans, right? And they are capable of spreading the trench fever. They are capable of spreading trench fever. Okay, trench fever. I told you that trench fever is also spreading from the louse or the lice, right? But it can spread from the flea also. So louse is the first choice if it is given in the exam. Then if it is not given, then you might choose the flea as well, right? If you talk about the sand flea, guys, it is also called as the Tunga penetrans, right? It is called as the Tunga penetrans, right? And it can actually, enter the nail beds. It can actually enter the nail beds in the lower limb especially, and might cause the ulcers over there, right? So what it might cause, that it might be causing, it can enter the nail beds and might cause ulcer formation over there, might cause ulcers over there. With that, especially in the lower limbs, it can enter into the nail beds, into the toes, basically toe of the toe of the legs basically, and over there it can enter and can cause the formation of ulcers, right? So mainly the lower limbs affection is seen. Lower limbs are getting affected, right? So that was about the discussion of flea. Thank you.